Welcome to Revit 2019 Demo 44. For this lecture, we're going to discuss purging a Revit project as well as transferring project standards. Purging a Revit project can allow you to eliminate a lot of unused or unnecessary items. It can also make your drawings smaller in size. In class, I've referenced that general Revit templates can be about 40 megabytes. Anything higher than that's a bit excessive, and anything lower than that is probably not a well-developed template. So for this lecture, we're going to discuss how you can reduce the file size by having project stakeholders that are bringing in too many items that kind of fog up that project. So if we look at kind of our past projects as we've done throughout this semester through the demos folders, we can start to look at file size. So we can start to see that depending on how we organize this from all the way from demo 1 up to demo 43, or in this case demo 38, or even the mechanical example, that's our largest file. So it incrementally is getting higher and higher. Now 12.7 or 12,744 kilobytes is roughly 12.7 megabytes. So that's not too bad, but one thing that we might start to consider to do is how can we reduce the file size of this so that it's not affecting future or present projects. So one way to do this is if we open up demo 38 and we adjust demo 38 to be a smaller size, we can go into manage and we can go purge unused. Now unused currently is going to have all of these elements. Number of items checked is 466. If I check none, I have 0, and if I check all, I have all. Now what we want to do is open up the annotation symbols box, and you'll notice that there's check marks across all the items that are unused in our Revit project. Now you can only purge the unused items. So if we hit OK and we do a file save as project, Revit demo 38 purged, and hit save, we can now go into file open and we can view the size of our file 38 purged is down to 8.7 megabytes. So we've reduced it by about 4 megabytes as a whole. That may not sound like a lot, but as you continue throughout your project, if you're not purging the unused items, your file will continue to grow and grow and grow, especially if you're going to sites like BIM content sites like BIM Exchange, or BIM content browser, or Revit City, or any of the sites where you're downloading Revit families. This will constantly fluctuate and grow up. So when you do a file save, it reduced a significant amount of megabytes. Like with AutoCAD, purging is especially important with large files and can speed up your project and lighten the file. You can always load the families that you purged again if you don't need them. Don't purge often and your file saving advantages reduce on each purge. So now let's move into transferring project standards. So an example for transferring project standards, we've discussed it a little bit, but that's this button up here right next to purged unused. So if I open up transfer project standards, there isn't a current project. There are no open projects to transfer project standards from. So an example would be that you can copy project standards from one project to another and apply them to that other project. So the example being company materials in Revit demo 21, or in our case 25, I believe is when we did that you need in Revit demo 2. So what we could do is we could close out of this project, we can open up Revit demo 2, and in demo 2 we can also open up Revit demo, let's just open up the current one, which is 43. So we'll open up demo 43, and I have a lot of additional information in here that is non-existent in this one. So what I could do is I could go to Manage, Transfer Project Standards, and it says Select Items to Copy. Copy from Revit 2019 Demo 43. And so some standard things that you could want to copy could be family types, line weights, materials, view templates, object styles, etc. You must have both projects open from the target to the source. So we're in the source project and we want to pull it from the target object. So we opened up Revit Demo 2. We opened up Revit Demo 43. Revit Demo 43 in this case is our target, and our source is Revit Demo 2. In Revit Demo 2, we went to Manage. We didn't go to Materials, but if you look at Materials, we have no custom materials. None of them are custom. We just have what's baked in. And so that's something that we might want to pull in. We might want to pull those in. If I go to View and then I hit Switch Windows and I head over to 43 and I go into Materials, I have all those Gallatin materials that we made. So we made Gallatin terrazzo, teal carpet, the terracotta. There's a lot of additional materials in here that I might want in this project. So going in from our project, what I want to do is I want to start transferring these items from 43 to Demo 2. So I'm going to go into Manage, Transfer Project Standards, and it's important that you initially check None. And the reason being is because what's going to happen is it's going to pull every bit of information from that project in, and you may not want every bit of information. In this current state, you only want materials. So you're going to hit OK, and it's going to tell you, it's going to say the following types already exist in the destination project but are different. And what I would suggest doing is only taking the new ones. So I'm going to say new only. And what that's going to do is now if I go into materials, I'm going to see that all of my Gallatin materials are now in Demo 2. So that's really important to understand and very important to see. Now let's talk about wall types. We had created a custom wall called Brian's Wall in one of the past projects. So we can go ahead and switch over to project 43. I'm not sure if it's in this project, but we'll find out right now. So if I go into wall, let's see if we have Brian's Wall. I don't see Brian's Wall, but we do have some custom Gallatin walls that we did create. So if I wanted, say, this exterior 5.5-inch wall, I could cut, copy, and paste. So I can Control C and Control V this in here. And what's going to happen is it's going to say the following types already exist but are different. The types from the project into which you are pasting will be used. Hit OK. And now I have a wall type in here that I want. And so it loaded that wall type in. Now the other way to do that, I believe we can also do that from transferring project standards. So we could check None, and we can go to wall types. And we can pull in every wall type and only do the new ones. And when I pull in the new ones and I go to architecture walls, it's going to pull in all the proper Gallatin walls that I had from the past project. So it's important to understand that as we continue going on. In this lecture, you've learned you can copy a wall type, a roof type, a ceiling type, as well as a system family from one project to another. So you can just cut, copy, and paste it. You could create a file in here and save it and basically have just your walls and put all your created walls in it, and you would copy and paste as needed from that walls file to your target drawing. One thing I've seen people do is the same thing with drafting views. They'll actually save a project with all of their project drafting views and pull what's needed as needed. Putting all the walls you ever created in your template file will make your project file bigger than it needs to be. Same thing with all those drafting views. So that's the biggest takeaway from transferring project standards, is knowing that you can pull a lot of elements from other projects and transfer it back and forth. It's essentially stealing from other Revit projects. So if you have a Revit file that was completed previously, you can steal the following elements. You can steal drawing sheets, drafting views, ones with AutoCAD files in it, schedules, and legends. So if you did a perfect equipment schedule in a past project, you can steal it and use it in a current project. The actual equipment families will of course not come over, just the parameters and setup. If you have AutoCAD drawings placed in specific drafting views or typical details, you can steal them and use them in your current projects. So in the target file, you can insert from file. So we went over this a little bit in class, but we'll go back to 43. I can go in and I can insert from file. I can insert views from a file or insert 2D elements from a file. So let's read what these say. Insert views from file. Copies specified views, sheets, schedules, or drafting views from a project file and saves them in the current project. This tool allows you to reuse schedule formats, sheets, or drafting views among projects. Insert a schedule from another project to replicate its formatting and customize parameters, but not its content. So just knowing that it's not going to update the family content. Insert a drafting view from another product to reuse the entire view, including its 2D elements and text. Now down here, insert 2D elements from file. It copies 2D elements from a detail view saved in another project into a detail view in the current project. This tool copies the 2D detail elements, repeating details, detail lines, installation, and filled regions to the new detail view. Although model geometry is not copied, the software tries to map the detail components to the new host geometry in the current project. So that's important to understand because there's a lot of value in being able to pull that information. It allows you to steal a lot of information. So we're going to go ahead and save this current demo. So we're going to go ahead and demo 43, we'll do a save as project, revit demo 44, and I will see you in the next lecture.